I like how in the book you wrote the sentence, the U.S. has spent trillions of dollars on poverty, and the result is more poverty.
Well, this is a very sad outcome of the war on poverty. This goes back to Lyndon Johnson, who, by the way, was a huge fan of Franklin Roosevelt. And Roosevelt definitely had no clue as to how business operates, which is why eventually the economy failed again under Roosevelt. And it's largely hidden from many of you because World War II came along and the economy shot up in 1940 when we began building armaments for England and France to survive before we entered the war in 1941, late 1941. But what I think is interesting is that we have spent trillions of dollars in the war on poverty, and by definition, which I don't necessarily agree with, but the definition of poverty is that we have more people in poverty today than at any point in history. We've had more people on food stamps, we've had more people on Social Security disability. Now remember, folks, none of this is funded. Meaning when your neighbor goes on Social Security disability, or your neighbor gets food stamps, or your neighbor gets something else, that's tax dollars that you're working to produce that have to come out in order to keep the budget balanced. When of course the budget's not balanced because we're printing money, because they don't dare come to you and assess you for as much tax as they would need to assess right now in order to keep spending this. And I would like to see us really take a, I'd like to do, zero-sum budgeting where every year you start over and really evaluate. I think that our combined poverty programs, given the extraordinary failure that they are, that it would really be good for us to take a sunset ride here and close down what we're doing and start over, because I know as an American, if we can win the space race, we can win the Cold War, we can solve the problem of poverty in America. And I think it's tied into two critical issues. One is literacy, that our public school system has got to do a better job. And the other is dealing with our crime problem in America. We have many young people in our prisons who are learning to become better criminals, and many of them, in studies that I've read, have low literacy rates or illiterate, and they turn to life of crime because they're not competitive in the job market or because of where they grew up. So I feel very confident that if we take a different approach to this and take a different look and a more focus on rehabilitation for our young criminals and focus on doing a better job of educating our students from the get-go, that we will do a much better job dealing with poverty than we're doing now.